Welcome to Couple Reviews, where we finally talk about a superhero that isn't Spider-Man. Unlike my previous videos, this episode will not be spoiler heavy, so if you haven't seen Superman and Lois yet, I won't be giving away much. There's been some disagreements among Superman fans about whether he should end up with Wonder Woman or Lois. Personally, I think the conflict is unnecessary. Think about it. Superman has immortality. Lois does not have immortality. Wonder Woman does have immortality. So why can't Superman just go with Lois now, and then once she dies, he can go with Wonder Woman? Superman and Lois is one of the only DC comic-based shows on the CW which is actually still good. The Flash and Arrow both started out good and then got worse and worse after the second season. And Legends of Tomorrow, Supergirl, Black Lightning, and Batwoman were always crap. But Superman and Lois is still an enjoyable watch somehow. The other good show is Stargirl. We'll talk about that one eventually. Finally, a live-action version of Superman, which is actually Superman. Not some mopey sad sap or a creepy deadbeat. It's been a while since we had an actual Superman in live action. Other incarnations of Superman have tried to escape what makes Superman Superman, often creating some alternate reality or possible future where he's the villain. The writers of those versions don't know how to write a purely good character as interesting, or they just think that modern audiences are too cynical to accept a hero with so little damage. This version of Superman proves that you absolutely can write him in an interesting way while staying true to his character, and it will be accepted by a modern audience. This show brings us the classic Superman. He never questions his decision to be a hero, he only struggles with how to do that. Moments when he feels overwhelmed don't take away from him being a symbol of heroism. They just make him more human. That makes him more relatable. In this show, Superman and Lois have been married for some time and have 2 teenage boys. Most of their relationship drama comes from their struggles as parents, though there's a little bit of drama just between the two of them. I love how Superman and Lois have just enough bickering to make them a realistic portrayal of a couple that's still healthy. You always get the sense that there's zero chance that they would ever break up or cheat on each other. The stakes aren't, are they going to make it? The stakes are they going to make the other happy? They do things just to be there for the other, not because they're worried about a breakup or anything. Their sons are John and Jordan. Jordan is at first the troubled one who gives Clark the most to deal with early on.
Jonathan was easy. Always happy, always smiling. Things with Jordan were more challenging. Tantrums, night terrors. A year ago, he was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder.
But as the show goes on, John becomes the one with more damage, since he keeps getting the short end of the stick.
I am sick of your crap, okay, Jordan? This is not just about you. I got the shaft.
Each of them have their own problems which make them blow up at Clark, and he has to figure out some way to make things right with his sons. It's nice to see what Superman does when he's put in the position of a father. He can't solve all his familial problems with his superpowers, but he can still apply that same Superman warm-hearted do-goodery to being a parent. In that way, he can be a great inspiration for people, showing how they can still be like Superman even without the powers. A lot of the time that Clark and Lois spend actually together is spent talking about the boys or exchanging notes about what the other has been doing. This show actually likes to keep these two apart for most of the time. You see, early on, Clark gets laid off from the Daily Planet, Lois quits the Daily Planet, and she gets a reporting job elsewhere, but Clark dedicates the extra time to other things. So Lois is doing the reporter stuff without him. And Lois isn't a damsel in distress very often. There's a few times, but it's not constant, so Superman is usually doing the superhero stuff without her.
You know what, babe? You do your Superman stuff and I will do my Lois Lane stuff.
These two interact with each other when they both go home after the fact. The conversations they have can be a double-edged sword. Lois often insists that Clark be there for family matters when she knows full well that he's saving the world as Superman. On one hand, it's interesting that they have a source of struggle that is really neither of their faults, and Lois can be pretty understanding sometimes.
I know, it's okay.
No, it's not. And you're covering.
Don't super spy on my pulse rate or whatever you do.
You quit your job when you're mad.
I'm not mad.
Well, you should be. I said I was going to be there and I
Clark,
wasn't.
can we not do this right now? I'm not in the mood.
I just want to apologize, and I want you to know that
Babe, I don't need an excuse. I know you have an excuse. You're Superman.
Lois.
Okay, fine, I'm mad. And I know it's irrational because I understand that there were lives at stake, but this was so important to me. And we lost the vote, by the way, and now I'm feeling guilty for wanting you to do something you said you would do.
But on the other hand, she can be excessively demanding about Clark prioritizing squad goals at home when there are lives in danger.
Booth in this podunk town where you can suit up.
Now? No. Now is not a moment Clark can just take off. The world will always need Superman. And when there is a problem, you will be there for them, but right now this family needs you more.
But even at her most unreasonable, she can still do good for the show by giving Clark more to deal with. Lois's hot-blooded nature can make it even harder for Clark to keep the family stable. This show is called Superman and Lois. Personally, I love Superman, but I'm a bit bored by this version of Lois. This show is dead set on giving Lois about as much screen time as Clark, but nothing she's doing is ever as interesting as what Superman is up to. They made the villain someone that Lois could work against as a reporter. This video is supposed to be about the first season, but I want to say that in the second season, they go a step further by introducing an extra villain just for Lois. Lois is like the humans in Transformers shows. You can't stand the fact that we're putting so much focus on these boring scenes with a regular person in a show that has Superman in it. In Transformers, even if the humans are well written, they're still not Transformers, so you'll never care about them as much. Lois has never been a good enough character to carry in a show by herself, and the show doesn't understand that we only like Lois because of her relationship with Superman. Her abrasive personality works well when she has Clark's wholesome personality to bounce off of, but without him, she's a little grating. Her tendency to get herself into danger is great for setting up Superman to save the day, but without that, she's just an airhead. I think that Lois sort of represents humanity, and how Superman sees her reflects how he sees humanity. Lois is rough around the edges and too cynical, but Superman can see the good in her, constantly forgiving her shortcomings. Lois traditionally hasn't been a character that we love as much as we just love Superman's love for her. This show treats her like an equally important half, but she just isn't. And no, I'm not saying that because she's a woman. I defy you to name a woman who thinks that Lois is just as important as Superman. I defy you to name a woman who would rather watch Lois talk about newspapers than watch Superman fight aliens. The boring subplots that they give Lois just don't justify this level of attention. There's a few things she does that are okay, like her relationship with her father, but they're throwing in way too much in an attempt to maximize her presence. But at least Lois has a good relationship with Superman whenever they're on screen together. They have their rough times, but they're always working through their problems and compromising for each other. It's always nice to see one of them being the rock that the other person can hang on to. Also, they regularly have cute displays of affection just because they can. Clark and Lois have a long history together which they can use in retrospect to inform their current decisions. When there's a problem with the boys that's caused by Superman's secret, they can talk about how it was for Lois when she found out.
Do you remember the first time I caught you listening in on me?
How could I forget? Thought I was going to lose you forever.
You almost did.
Any suggestions on how to make things right with the boys?
Make them the same promise you made me.
Let's talk about how to make improvements to this. Lois needs to either have less screen time or have more focus on her relationship with Clark. I don't want any more of these subplots that are only there so she can have her maximum screen time. I'm not saying she should ditch her job, but I don't want to be bothered by that job. It's okay for her to just leave for work, and then the next time we see her was when she comes home from work. It's a tricky position they're in if they want to make Lois more involved with Superman saving the day. I get their hesitation to make Lois the gal in the chair since it would make this dynamic too repetitive with the dynamics in The Flash and Arrow. They don't want to make her a superhero because it would take away from being the more human one, and they don't want to make her the regular damsel in distress in every episode because that would get frustrating after a while. So what could she do that would both involve Superman and make the scenes better, not worse? Here's a few ideas. As the daughter of a general, it makes perfect sense for her to have a basic understanding of how to use guns. It would only be as a last resort, but Lois could participate in fights against foot soldier-like enemies if she had a gun in her hand. The fact that Lois has so little experience would actually add to the tense situation, since she can barely keep herself alive against, let's say, parademons or robots, stuff like that. Lois's attempts to get the news story while the chaos is going on doesn't have to be an excuse for her to be saved by Superman. They can coordinate through earpieces for Lois to take pictures of incriminating evidence while Superman creates a distraction. If you've seen the show, you might be wondering how I can make a video about the romance in Superman and Lois without mentioning the relationship between Jordan and Sarah. The reason is because I've decided to make an entire other video about them. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and stand for truth, justice, and the American way.